get situated a bit. Get some music on. That's our girl. So I put her in there. But her head is a little small. I'm going to enlarge that. Here we go. What shall I say? A lot going on. Sorry, first thing I do is yawn. A lot going on, but I'll wait until some people show up. So I'm not just talking to myself. Alright, lovely, lovely. So this is the girl we're drawing. There has to be a consistency here. Oh yeah. For starters, we gotta get the scale. Maybe, let's see, that's it. We'll put things where they belong. Let's do it very lightly. I feel like her head should be tilted maybe a bit more. Just to be kind of sideways like that. Let's see. It's kind of weird drawing her bald. So what was the deal? So yeah, I sketched this up and I sent it to the writer, and he was like, well, she's flirting with him, but in a kind of a sarcastic way. So I'm like, well, how do you make an expression on a face, on a woman's face, that's flirting but in a sarcastic way? Visualize that right now. Put that in your mind. What does it look like? It's not the easiest thing to visualize, actually, right? Maybe her face is turned away from him a little bit and giving him the side eye. That maybe makes more sense. Yeah. A little bit of side eye. So that would mean maybe her chin would be here, and be a little more like this. Does that look right? Just a touch. It's really important to get the bridge of the nose. That's the anchor of the face when you're drawing portraits and faces. The bridge of the nose. I actually Googled like girls flirting to see like what kind of facial expressions they have. And A lot of them were biting their lips and like sucking their fingers and stuff. And I was like, okay, that's a little too sexual, I think. These characters know each other from earlier in the story. She's got, here's what she's doing is giving him like, I guess what you'd call like sleepy eye, which is like kind of sexy, I suppose. Sexy eye, droopy eye. I think it's too close to the center though. I'm gonna have to fix that. Yeah, there you go. All right, we're getting there. Hello to my lurkers in the audience. Maybe you can say hello. Had a really, really great Imperium Calling show the other day. I've been planning on that for quite a long time. And Greg Johnson was the guest. He is the owner, editor-in-chief of Counter Currents, Counter-Currents. Of course, when I was saying that on the show, I screwed it up. I said Counter/Currents. He's like Counter-Currents. I'm like, oh, that's embarrassing. Gotta love making mistakes live, you know. Nothing like it out there, I tell you. It's just so refreshing. So embarrassing, yeah. It's like, of course, I know that, but when you're running a show and you're doing all of the technical behind the scenes, people don't understand. Like when you're doing a show, you have to, you're in charge of media stuff, and you're kind of setting up links and it's hard to explain, but there's a lot of production work that goes on behind the scenes, and I think I'll put this here. I'll take the other one off. With women, you don't want highly detailed noses. Like, actually, is her face? No, that's about right. That's not too big. She's not a small girl, but I mean, he's a big guy, so. Those boots aren't the sexiest thing. She's wearing like hiking boots, but she was on like a mission, and like a military mission sort of thing. So she's not dressed up for the opera, if you know what I mean. Jelly bean. Let's see, we got. It's not terrible. I think that's okay. I think that works. It's got to get the hair. See, she usually has her hair in ponytails, so it's a little bit different here. Anyway. I want to get that windswept quality, and I have a couple strands of hair wisping along in the wind. There's a lot of experimentation with this kind of thing. Let's zoom out a little bit. See. Sometimes it's good to step back a little bit and see the scale of the whole thing. I almost feel like she's slightly too big. Her head is just a tiny bit too big. So I'm gonna bring it down a bit. What's going on with you guys in the audience there? You just chilling? Chillaxing? Are you guys in the United States or overseas? Get a lot of overseas people watching the show. I don't know why, I'm just not happy with this. This is the same girl here, but she's got these like girl boss glasses on. And her hair's up. And she's slightly kind of like a little more bony almost. I think I need to get this in here. I think the trying to oh, I see something different. Okay. Anyway, well, now we got 3 people watching the show. What is going on in your world? Is a lot of snow where you are? I think it's like her jaw is slightly too masculine. Take it off. Oh boy. How about that? She's athletic, so she's not some little petite Japanese girl, you know. She's got, you know, she can take care of herself, as they say. Well, that's starting to look a bit better. Maybe it's a little bit more to do with the hair. Getting the hair where it needs to be. That's a bit better. It's a bit better. Her neck is not too thick. A shadow in there, probably. Do you guys want to talk? Do you want to chat? In the chatteroonie? Or are we just here to watch? You're just here for the music. Oh, I get it. Okay. I gotcha. So horrible weather where I am. I did go out. Was trying to do something. And where I live, like, there were no plows out at all. And the roads were freaking... I mean, I don't know. It's like, this is your job, a-hole. You know, get in the fucking plow and get these roads, you know, like, what the hell? You know, why are there no plows out in the worst conditions, you know? Like, what the fuck, you know? I'm accustomed to this kind of weather, so I know how to drive in it, but that doesn't make it any less dangerous. The worst part of it is just the damn ice caking up on my windshield wipers and not being able to see that well. Mucho annoying-o. But anyway, I survived. So make her eyes a little bigger. I think this is gonna be it. Did you know that this is the last page of the Alliance? Yes, the last page of the Alliance. Wow. So I did mention this on another show about like this project has been going on for a couple of years. And a lot has happened in those years, like a lot. Oh my God, so much has changed. A lot of people died in these years, and pretty shocking to think about that. Very sad, very hurtful. You know, I think we've all lost people, you know, in the last couple of years with these soaring cancer rates, which I can tell you what that's from, but I might have my channel shut down. Just anyway, I'm not gonna get into a little like a dark thread here, so I won't go there. But kind of sometimes like when you start a thing and then if you end it a few years later, there's a real sense of like, wow, holy cow, man, I've been through a lot. I've been through the ringer. The thing about that is not that I went through it, but that I survived it, that I came through it. And that in the end is really what, like, pretty much, I don't want to say that's what life is all about. There's a lot to life, but to be able to traverse these tragedies and, you know, and come out stronger for it is pretty heavy stuff. It's pretty serious, you know. So I just made some decisions about like this is how I want to be as a person, and this is who I want to be as a father. You know what I mean? Because like, you know, when you're a parent, your kids are watching. They're watching how do you handle these things, you know. And that sets the whatever, the template, you know. They're going to have hardships in their lives, you know, throughout. And as parents, if you know, you got to bite the bullet and you got to get through it, you know. Wow, I think we hit the jackpot, bros. Woo woo! How come I got a bunch of people watching me, but not one person will say hi? That's sad. I think I'm gonna cry. Okay, give me a minute here. I need a tissue. Hold on. All right, I do need to get some water though. Hang tight. No, I'm not drinking scotch. I can pretend this water is scotch. So are the 4 people watching me feds right now? Is that why? Or maybe Antifa? I did actually get an Antifa in the chat during my show with the Imperium Calling show. And, you know, he came on and he's like, hey, Ethnat. Yes, you're just, all right, well, good to have you. Thank you for saying hi. Anyway, he was just like a rando dude that came up in the chat. Critical review, hello, you're back, excellent. Anyway, so I'm doing the show with Greg Johnson and the media and the conversation and on and on. It's a big deal. And naturally, I'm keeping my eye on the chat to see, you know, a little bit what people are saying. And then somebody comes on and he says like, "What the hell is this?" And I'm like, "Oh, that doesn't, yeah, that's not no big deal or whatever." And then like he after a little while, he puts another comment in the chat. He goes, "Oh, you guys are Nazis." I was like, and then like a little while later, he said some just what you would think he would say, like some kind of shitty, mean and bullshit insult kind of stuff that like these people don't understand that like insults don't work. You know, this is a thing that I pointed out before about like the difference between us and them. You know, is that they are part of the system, and as such, the you know they have to conform to the tribe, and whatever their tribe says, that's the truth. Boys can be girls, girls can be boys. Oh, okay, that's what they say. So, in order to remain accepted in the social field or world, then I have to agree with their lunacy. And words have power in some way, but at the same time, words can. How do I put it? Like they change. They're fluid. Words are meaning fluid. You've heard of gender fluid? Well, they're meaning fluid, which is pure Marxism. That's just pure Marxist dialectic. They've been doing that shit forever, It's you can't reason with these people. And that's the thing we've been trying to do forever is like, look, here's the data. And the data schmata. You know what I mean? Like that doesn't mean a fucking thing. That's why I'm really like when I see these people go get their asses kicked by ICE and get sent to jail, I'm like, that is the only way. It is the only way. There's no other. They're lunatics. They're dangerous lunatics on the streets. And they need to be locked up. All right. Ethnet Atheist says, I was just listening to the Greg Johnson video, saw you were live. I'm a devoted follower of Countercurrents. Greg is amazing. Dude, when I got him to do the first show, I was like, you can imagine. I'm like, oh my God, I got Greg Johnson on the first show. This is freaking awesome. Like what a great way to start the show, I actually just reached out to Jared Taylor and invited him on. And so like having, the link with Greg Johnson, there's credence there, that's like, oh, well, you had him. Okay, well, then you're legit, if you're having people of that caliber on your show, then whether or not, Uncle Jared gets back to me, I don't know. We'll see. But I kind of know one of the guys that works for Amren now, so I could possibly network that. I gotta be more careful about this. Hold on here. I could tell you we're feeling it. Good stuff. Oh, that's beautiful. I appreciate you saying that because I had been planning this show for a long, long time, like possibly months. And, like I designed the logo and my friend made the, the intro animation. And I had to run tests on playing the media and there's like a lot that went into it. And then I even scripted out like everything I was going to say verbatim to the show, on the show. And then when it came time for the show, I'm like, no. You got to be real. Just be authentic. Just say what you feel. You know what I mean? Like go with the flow. There was a little intro thingy that I had my like prompts or whatever that I think when you're doing an intro, you can have that. But for the rest of it, it was pretty much just freestyling, you know. What's his name? Spencer is a buddy. I worked on his book, so like we've known each other forever. And I feel like there's potential for me to do some publishing with Greg. At one point, he was saying, you know what's important is graphic novels now. That people like pictures, you know. And I'm like, well, you and I need to talk. Like, we need to talk, bro. You know. So, believe it or not, I actually did send him like a graphic novel proposal, but this was like some years ago. So this wasn't really the first time that we'd spoken. He liked the like they had not published anything like that at Countercurrents. So he gave the proposal to like one of his editors who kind of like looks at this type shit and decides, you know, because whatever, Greg's busy or something. But anyway, yeah, so like it got accepted, and then I got hired to do the Alliance. And so it's kind of funny how just as I was about to start doing graphic novels for Countercurrents, I got hired, you know, to do this. So kind of funny, I guess. And that story that I proposed to them, it's a dystopian science fiction. Would be, how do I say? It would make a great movie. It's got all the film elements in it. You know, if you could combine Blade Runner with Alien and like Logan's Run and what else? Just a variety of sort of well-known science fiction movies, tropes, etc. Obviously, the theme is about us. You know, that we're the. It was sort of a future, a vision of a future world where America is broken into different areas, and New Cascadia is essentially like a kind of a white haven where like only whites are allowed, and then like other parts of America have just roaming bands of cartels and, you know, brown criminals and what have you, you know. But then there's like, you know, Native American sites, and it's not all bad, but it's very, very dangerous and very wild. And there's the state of California. It's not just California. It extends down into like the Baja Peninsula and up to, it's essentially the entire West Coast is a type of liberal country. Not heaven. Liberal and heaven are two words that don't go together. But anyway, it's very much one of these like, take everything that we are, and you know, it's the future of like all of that hell, you know, that. And there's not many white people left in that country, if you will, and so the left coast. And our main character is one of the few whites who is left in that country. And he's like the star military shooter guy, you know, like he's like some kind of captain, and he's well known for being like an excellent soldier. And the mission is to go in and you know, fight the all-white supremacist New Cascadia and wage war on them and all that kind of stuff, you know. So, but somehow or other, like he gets betrayed by this like mulatto guy in the government in California, New California, if you want to call it, and has to escape. He gets shot down over I don't know, over some kind of like Indian territory and outside of New California and near the border of New Cascadia. And he manages to escape. But he does, like, basically, like, the Native Americans of that region, they find him. And, you know, he's in pretty bad shape. His ship crashed, all this stuff. And he's kind of just trying to survive his injuries in a cave, basically. Anyway, they take him to New Cascadia. And they're like, hey, we found one of your people out in the desert. But, you know, this guy is from New California. He doesn't, he hates the Cascadians. He hates white people. He's been propagandized all his life to believe that, you know, whites are inherently evil and blah, 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 all the shit that we fucking deal with. And so, you know, they recognize, like, oh, you're like one of those whatever, you're the enemy. You know, like you work for New California, whatever, and you know, wow. So, but we've captured you, so we're going to interrogate you. You know, and as time kind of goes by, there's a couple other things that occur where, like, he manages to bring his wife and son out. Like he knows that they're after him, and he's got to escape, and he manages to get his wife and son. His son is Amerasian. He's half white, half Chinese. And so whatever, there's this kind of situation where he comes to realize that, you know, New Cascadia is not this wacky bullshit mythology that he was taught. It's in fact like a kind of heaven, and it's a utopia. It's beautiful and peaceful and blah 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 blah, and it doesn't have any of the degeneracy and the crime and the hell of oh yeah, Craig hasn't posted. What's going on here? I should check the chat. Let's read some chat. Good to have you guys back. This is the last page, ladies and gentlemen. This is it. What do we do next? DJ New Money's here. Nice. How's it going tonight? Good to have you. Let me read some. I got some. Hello, hola amigos. Hippocratic Oath is back. Wave. Good. Bad mouthing. See gay again. Yeah. Have any of y'all seen my Amelia memes? I have not. Find me on Twitter and post them up there. The art was not original, but the memes, I don't have the amount of time to take art in general. Well, it's on the channel, it's Twitter, Craig the Man, okay. I gotta look that up. I'll check multitasking, give me a minute. Anyway, there you go. So, it's weird doing this last page because there's a feeling of, like, you know, when you get in the habit of doing these shows almost every night, and then what am I going to do when this is done? Well, obviously it would be Militia Man. Get back to that. However, I do have some big things going on in my personal life that will be time consuming. So I don't think I'll be doing this as frequently as I used to. That remains to be seen. I have to think through exactly what I'm gonna do. Hi, Zoe. let's see. We got Rexus is here. Excellent. So, Minnesota. My dudes. I just want to make one hot take on Minnesota. You probably know about it's like a Jewish Antifa type dude who got shot and killed. And that's in the news. It's what everybody is talking about. That's like the big news right now. And so, here's some interesting facts about that. He deleted his social media before going to this event. Why would you do that? Pretty sus. Number 2, he brings a gun. Okay, if you're going to bring a gun to an event like that, well, openly opposing ICE, that is intent. I think you guys know what I'm saying. And then the next point is that he's interfering with ICE doing what they do, and they start kind of piling on him, and one of the officers was able to grab the guy's gun out of wherever, his pants or something, and kind of walked off with it. And then the dude, it looks, according to the video, it looks that he went to reach for the gun, which would have been tucked, I think, in the back behind, like in the back of his pants. So when that happened, another officer who already had a gun drawn shot him, and that was that. And then not immediately, but very, very, very soon after that, the other cops were searching him for a gun, and they were saying, "Where's the gun? Where's the gun? Where's the gun?" And then somebody did ask another dude, like, "Do you have the gun?" Because he would kind of walked away from the scene, and he was like, "Yeah, I got it." So what that tells me is that they knew he had a gun, therefore they knew, he intended to use it on them, or he could use it on them, obviously, and therefore, you're scuffling with somebody and they reach behind their whatever into their back of their pants. What does that tell you? You know what I'm saying? If you're a cop and you're in that situation, what it tells you is he's reaching for a weapon, and so they shoot. You see what I mean? So there's many levels of this. So number 1, what the fuck are you going there with a gun to begin with? Straight out of the gate, you're in the wrong. Straight out of the gate. Okay, that speaks for itself. Number 2, somehow they knew he had a gun. And how do I know that? Because they were asking, "Where's the gun? Where's the gun?" So that the point of that being that if I knew you had a gun and you started like reaching around the back of your pants, I would assume, excuse me, that you're trying to pull it on me. So even, are you getting where I'm going with this? It's like the cops were justified in shooting because they did not know that another officer had taken the gun already and were aware that he had one. And then it appeared that he was reaching for it. So I've been listening to a ton of like lefty takes on this, and I thought, I'm going to be really honest about this. The video is not super easy to read. Maybe this was, I don't know, what do you call it, like excessive force or something. But then later when I found out, well, they knew he had a gun, in that case, then you would naturally have cause to shoot. You get my point? Because all of the pieces are there, he's disrupting an arrest of like some hideous, heinous criminal. Like it's some, I don't know if he's Mexican, a Central American dude, just another one of those fucking guys, probably like raping kids or some shit, you know. And they're you know, this dude is interfering with that. It's like I just can't, like there's no you just get the fuck out of the way. Let ICE do their job. You know what I'm saying? The fact that this guy is, I mean, I actually can't confirm that he's Jewish, but you look at his face and he's totally Jewish. You know, that's my belief. But and that's not even, that's just beside the point. That it doesn't matter if he's Jewish or not. That you shouldn't be doing what you're doing. You know, you don't obstruct the law. You know. There was a leftist meme about who's the kid that brought the gun across state to some Antifa riot. My brain sucks at remembering names and shit like that just when I need to. Something Rittenhouse. And then when I saw it, I was like, you know what? To be fair, I am biased, you know. What people like him were doing was trying to protect property, you know, and I think his mom lived in the area, something of this nature. But from the leftist point of view, there's no, you know, if people want to burn your house down and beat you to death, like that's perfectly okay, you know. You know, they don't have any fucking, I mean, they hate us. Their whole mission is kill Whitey, you know, in any means possible, you know. This is looking pretty fucking good. Kyle Rittenhouse, yes, there you go. Kyle just got married. Well, God bless him. Good for him. Have many babies. I'm reading some chats. Give me a break here. I'm gonna go back. Hello. Great talk with friends about what? I posted. Did all you guys see my interview with Greg Johnson on Imperium Calling, my new show? If not, please do. Is it all right if I share Twitter and my Gab link? Yes, go ahead, but I don't know if you can because only admins can do that. But you can try. You can share it. I won't tell anybody. Already found you a long time ago. Hey, I'm going to go play Revolutionary. Why am I facing the consequences that come along with being a revolutionary? Right. Good point, DJ. Kyle Rittenhouse. It is sus, right? And I don't know the name of the guy, but he's kind of like, I guess he's like the head of ICE. And he just did a press conference about it this morning. Super professional. The press was mostly women, and because you could hear them talking and the way that, like, you know, as soon as he stops, they all kind of jump in to try to get a question in, you know. And it's all that shrill, you know, that kind of bitch voices, those kind of shit. And the questions they were asking were totally, I mean, massively in bad faith, kind of like just trying to, they're framing the whole thing completely wrong. You know, they're essentially trying to make him say the points that they want to publish. You know, like, you know, do you think that you unjustly killed a man? You know, like, duh. You know, like, yeah, I guess I did. Duh. You know, like, what do you think he's gonna fucking say, idiots? You know. So, you know, when will you take accountability for this? I'm like, shut the fuck up, you dumb bitch. Take accountability. How about you take accountability for the truth instead of being a cunt? You know? Really annoying. Oh my God, you just want to punch people like that. So what he kept saying is like, I'm not going to speculate until the investigation is done. Then here's everything we know. blah 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 blah. And that's what we know. And I'm not going to say anything that is above and beyond and outside of the known facts. I'm not going to speculate anything that can be twisted into some other agenda or what have you. But while we're here, let me explain to you that, you know, you cannot lawfully interfere with these events. And if you do, these are the consequences. And then if you bring in a gun to the fucking scene and da 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 da, then you can expect X, Y, Z to happen and blah, blah, blah. And just common sense shit, man. Common sense. But again, the left is not, they're not in reality. They're not in this world. They don't have to follow the rules according to what they think and how they act. It's just, it literally is a madhouse. It's just a madhouse, There's no, and it's never going to get better, honestly. I'm done. I feel like, like Trump recently said something about, like, we're bringing back insane asylums. To me, that's like, I wonder who's going in them, I mean, to me, that's basically the prison for the left, because are they not insane, And I mean, I say that, again, like earlier, I was like, oh, maybe I was wrong about that thing, Maybe I should double look at a thing and then, But, I don't know, man. And it's the same shit every couple of years, you know what I mean? It's just a new, same meat, different bread. I don't have any more patience with this. It's just, iron fist. That's all I got is an iron fist. Okay, let's read some chats. What have we got? FNat says, I'm working on a little project of my own, and tonight marks a milestone for me. Very good. Tell us more. 2 years of hard work. Oh, yeah, I want to hear about it. Hippocratic Oath says the AG can just go after the NGOs. Is that true? If they don't, they'll consider it a performance. I don't get caught up in it. I hear you. Did you get both of those? Okay. You guys are doing something here. Rexus, I honestly want to write about the struggle the Slavs are going through from 1914 to present day. Well, what's stopping you? Trad Dad, ladies and gentlemen, Trad Dad's here. Agreed, Don. We've lived under a hostile elite far too long. Craig says, no, just type blah, blah, blah. All right. Lovely. Let's get back to it, okay? Next week on Imperium Calling, Brendan Hurd of Aureus Press. Ladies and gentlemen, he had me on his show over the summer sometime. I think of him as like, in kind of like the Dave Martell world, you know what I mean? Like cool dudes that are, publish cool stuff and just have like a knack for just cool, fun retro shit. And he's putting out comics now. He did actually offer me some work. I got some other irons in the fire, and I'm kind of like, plus I have my own comics, so I'm sort of, I would love to do it, to be a part of this, but it's not the right time right now. So it's kind of like that. The graphic novel I told you that I sent to Craig Johnson and Countercurrents. It's really good. I I don't know. It just there's not enough fucking time in the fucking day, man. It's like I'm gonna die before all these ideas ever come out, and it's horrible. 'Cause that's the tragedy of life is you can't get all these things done. You gotta go to your job and make your money, 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 money. Just wanna make art all day, every day, and music. Speaking of which, I am going to be setting up a music recording studio in my new studio. Let's see. Just type. No, I don't get anything. YouTube may have censored it. So, like I said, I don't. I think only the only Splattercat can post links. I believe. So I don't think you could type it out and put spaces in between the words, and then whoever wants whatever the link is, you can copy paste that and separate the links. You can understand what I'm saying? Like, use your head, Okay. Wow. All right. Let's read some comments. Splattercat is late. He has. You know what he told me? He's not getting notifications from YouTube. What the fuck is up with that? I gotta open a window. Hang on a sec. All right. Oy vey, oy vey, oy vey. What do we got? He's fired. No, he's just being messed with by the system. I'm gonna read some comments, get caught up here, and then get back to work. No, I didn't get any. Big Dave Arias Press U. I support Rita. Enjoy all three. Yeah, there's a neat synergy there. Actually, it'd be kind of freaking cool if there was a way that the three of us could, combine for something, or collaborate on something. Dave's an old buddy. I'm tempted to go to some of his events. He runs I guess an Asatru. Everybody calls it different. Like there's pagans, heathens, Odinists. Like, what is the proper name for people that practice like Nordic heathenry, Nordic pagan religion, if that could be called a religion? You know. Anyway, he runs a community. Like he's pretty much a legit elder in that world. He was it last year, 2 years ago? I don't remember when, but Survive the Jive was coming from England to attend one of his events, and the fucking U.S. government wouldn't have let him into the country. The fucking evil. Survive the Jive. I mean, the dude is he's as milquetoast as you can get. Like, he's not, you know what I'm saying? He's not like Ted Kaczynski. He's an anthropologist. But somehow he got himself on like a no-fly list or something. That could be more from like somebody in the UK did that against him to fuck him up or something. That's probably more likely the case, because I could see how if that would fit into like the problems of the UK, but it has no bearing on America. There's not, whatever, you get the idea. The hair is always very important. All right, Rexus says, I do want to commission an artist for my story ideas, but I don't know one I have in my email. I wish I could clone myself and do everybody's project. I love being the guy that's like the go-to guy, in the movement. This particular project has tied me up a lot. I've managed to do other work, and I will continue to do other work. I promised Spencer that I'd do the front and back cover for his next book, but he says that won't be out till like summer or something. My God, I'm so pleased with this. That came out real nice. I'm not a fan of like athletic body types in women, though. So for me, I'm always like, she looks too athletic. But it's like, well, that's who she is. That's the character, And if you're drawing Wonder Woman, you can't make her look like some kind of cute Japanese girl, You gotta give her some meat. Diana. What is her last name? Diana something. Diana Wonder Woman. Anyway, yeah, the big news is Minnesota right now. For me, it's just, I don't know. I'm done. I think that we have to take an authoritarian. Now's the only time to do it. If somehow the Democrats win, they're gonna go full fucking communist on us. They're gonna really, it's gonna go. Does America even exist anymore? That's kind of a question. And I guess I would say no if it's between the Jewish, what do you want to call us, like puppet state, the kind of corporatocracy state. You know what I mean? It's like, what is... Anyway, I want to talk about something else. He's fired. Let's see. You do know I'm under people following you, right, Donald Kent? Following me where? On Twitter? Hippocratic Oath says VL JEPA is visually predictive. So soon you can suggest your comic and the new engines will predict the outcomes. Maybe not at the level of developing a full comic, but it's cool stuff. VLJEPA. Never heard of it. Oh, maybe you can tell me more. Rexus, that might mean you're shadow banned. I'm shadow banned, in fact, that I can't get tagged in posts. Fuck that. Hip says, I looked up Greg Johnson. He's a celibate mother, or Mo. I don't celibate Mo, what Mo is. That's rough, but I admire his effort. You know, that's people's personal stuff. I don't know. That's, to me, that's like neither here nor there. Like what he's done for the movement with his company and his lectures and all that. Like when I first learned about him, it was like the first time I heard about Jared Taylor, the first time I heard about Richard Spencer. I went nuts and I like looked all over the internet for all of his lectures and, saw as much as I could, And a lot of that it's just learning, you're in the early days I just was so enamored with the movement, and to see these people that were like super, super, super educated on our cause and our history, and they're sticking their neck out to say and do the things that they do. It was like shocking to me in a way. I was sort of awestruck by them. I remember watching like Amran videos, for example, and thinking like, boy, I hope nobody catches me doing this. Like it's like how somebody would be watching porn or something. Like, oh my god, I don't make sure nobody catches me doing it. Obviously, those are radically opposite each other, but it just I knew like this is subversive. This is very deeply subversive. This is going against the system. You're not supposed to question these things. You're not supposed to stand up for white identity or any of that stuff. It is verboten. Das ist verboten. In the liberal worldview, and because you got to remember, I'm like coming out of arts and education, so it's default liberal. You know what I'm saying? You're automatically, you get what I'm saying. So shocking to a degree, but also thrilling. Like very, very thrilling. And I didn't know. Obviously, I just learned about the guy. I didn't know anything about him. But I would go and see, like, he lectured in Denmark, was it? Frode Midjord, do you guys know Frode Midjord? He's not so much on the scene anymore. I also interviewed Frode, and I was on his Decameron film show and all this stuff. I need to get back in touch with him. But yeah, anyway, it's exciting. It's really cool. But here's the thing, though. I feel as if like the younger generation doesn't even know about people like Greg Johnson or Jared Taylor and they're Kevin McDonald. I know young guys that are like, pretty much they're into like Nick Fuentes. That's like that and like Agartha edits, and whatever is whatever. But like they don't have kind of the education or the history that we have from the past 10 years. Funny how like 10 years in internet time is like a lifetime. It's pretty wild. And so it feels to me like I need to have some younger guests on my show that, have younger audiences, But ideally, I'd like to, like bring these two generations together. That would be the thing to do. Indeedy. Rexus says, I call it Odinism. Others call it also true. Norse paganism is a religion with multiple names. Rexus says, what? But, about Survive the Jive. Yeah, I like Survive the Jive. Survive the Jive is very moderate. I know, it's just stupid. Why would they block him? From what I've seen, lowercase pagan is usually considered appropriate. Never seen someone take offense to it. Here is but type without any spaces. Glad people like Sith J followed through science and history. Need truth outside state and federal propaganda works. She has yoga girl arms. A lot of those foids are anorexic, at least in California. Interesting. Yeah, that doesn't surprise me. No, it died long before any of us were born. Well, pagan is generalized pejorative term for non-Abrahamic. Twitter. Gab. I actually have a Gab account. I never use it though. There's just Gab seems like Facebook to me. It's like, I don't know. I just don't care for it. Civil War. That was the start of it. Took a final breath, 69, then incitement of violence was removed from... I have no idea what you're talking about, DJ. I wish I did. Sounds interesting. Nick mentions Charles Lindbergh, Sam Francis, Pat Buchanan, and McDonald. Okay. Okay, I know that Nick's like a big fan of Richard Spencer. I think that's kind of interesting. Here's the thing. So Nick said something very recently, like today, that really offended me and kind of, was it today or yesterday? Kind of got me off the Fuentes bandwagon. Somebody did like a super chat and was like, hey, would you be willing to work with Patriot Front, Return to the Land, and like he named a couple, one or two other organizations that are pretty well known. And Fuentes immediately says, like, they need me, I don't need them. And straight out of the gate, I was like, that was a super fucking arrogant, snarky, shitty thing to say. Like, you think the whole fucking world revolves around you, you little faggot? I'm sorry, I'm calling him a faggot, but like, that's his culture. That's what they do. They call each other faggot whenever they don't like or agree with each other. That's normal in the gaming culture. I'm trying to be hip with the kids and be rude like they are to each other. So if you can dish it out, you can fucking take it. And then he goes on and says, like, Arval is an asshole or something. I'm like, you're out of your mind. You're out of your mind. Like, Arval's a real man. The man is creating the foundation of a white ethno-state in America. Now, here's the deal. Arval came to Fuentes with saying, like, hey, let's collaborate on a project. And I guess they both had this idea to create a school. And Fuentes was like, okay, great. It'll be like, kind of like a quick online course or something about politics, and then we'll get you hooked up with a job in Washington. And Arval's like, no, I'd rather that people like came out to one of the locations where where Return to the Land is, and live off the land and learn community building and how to do what we do. So straight out of the gate, it was like two totally different worldviews clashing. One is, we're going to win by taking over politics, which I think most of us don't believe. And then the other is, breakaway civilization. And I feel like, on the one hand, what would be best, the best case scenario, is if somehow the two of these guys met in the middle. You know what I mean? If somehow they both found a way to collaborate and like compromise their visions in some way, that would be best for everybody. But and like, Arvol's not an egomaniac, and Fuentes is. Okay, let's just be straight about that. Now, I still appreciate Fuentes, and I'll listen to his stuff, and whatever. I don't. It's not. How do I say this? It's like, I don't know why people think that you're either for or against somebody, or that you have to be a fanboy. I'm not a fanboy. Like, he's a person out there who is impacting politics and culture. So I'm just listening to the guy. It's not like this for or against thing. I'm for some things and I'm against some things. There's a ton of stuff that he says that is brilliant, and I strongly agree with, and I'm grateful for. But then when he turns around and does this shit, it's like, you asshole. Like, then it gets, because like, I consider Arvol a friend. I'm definitely in the Arvol camp. And this whole, like, they need me, I don't need them. Who the fuck made you king? Get the fuck out of here. You arrogant little child. You're just a child. You have years to go. Years. You're fucking 25. What the fuck do you think you know? Jeez, get the fuck out of here. So I was just like, come on, man, And I'm pissed off about that. But like, at the end of the day, though, there's work to be done. We have to figure out shit and, blah, blah, blah. So I don't know how all of that's going to pan out over time. But we shall see. Is Edda still with us? Fuentes is a fire break for youth. Fire break. Firebrand, maybe? Ethnat says, I had to watch the Backlash show just to see the dork Dave throw a tantrum. Speaking about Arvol and Fuentes, lol. Dave Smith? Dave who? Hello, evening. CG's here. Hey, buddy. CG, we have to postpone your coming on the show. I've got family coming into town. That's the anniversary of my mother's death, so we got a little family time stuff going on. Anyway, back to the show. I gotta back up here. Nick mentions, get off topic. AI accepted my memes when I created the text. End white erasure? Really? Oh, wait, then it didn't accept it. See, fuck AI, man. I don't know if the word end is triggered. White erasure is obviously the thing that it's censoring. Fuentes is a firebrand, let's say. Okay, I had watched that. Okay. DJ says a fire break is used to keep a forest fire from spreading further. Ah, okay. I think I understand. So, fire break for the youth. So he's meant to stop what from spreading further among the youth? I'm not catching your point. So, guys, this is the last page of the Alliance. Holy Shavitskis. Heavens to Murgatroyd. Then they're going to publish it, which is fucking great. I cannot wait to have a copy of this. I can't wait to have people respond to it, and we've already scheduled, well, I shouldn't say this ahead of time, but we're having Richard Spencer on my show to critique the graphic novel. So it's a little spoiler for you guys. That's going to be a fun show. I'm psyched about it. You know, he did a show some time back that was like a film critique show, and they got in pretty deep into like esoteric symbolism and meaning. You know, about basically how the Jews, they put symbols in movies that they understand, but we don't. Not sure if you're aware of those things. So yeah, okay. Anyway, but yeah, I'm excited. Like having Spencer on to like look at the graphic novel and walk through the story, and it should be pretty cool. Of course, you know my numbers will go up like crazy when that happens, which is always nice. Looking for a specific marker. All right, I need a little water first. Sometimes you gotta drink the waters. Ethnet has an interesting comment about pagan versus heathen. I mean, I've only ever heard Christians use the word pagan in a negative context, you know. But I feel like heathen is literally an insult. Like the word is an insult, you know. Heathens practicing your witchcraft heathenry. The heathens in the woods. Holy Reminds me of a film. It's called The Witch by David Eggers, who did the recent Nosferatu. Did you guys see Nosferatu? Raise your hand if you saw Nosferatu. I loved Nosferatu and The Witch. They're both very disturbing, creepy, scary films. But what I love about them is how they bring to life olden times. Like I'm a massive fan of period piece films. Massive, you know. I am not really ashamed of the fact that I have a romantic obsession with the past, although it might not be healthy. Let's see, we got another hidden message here. Show. Okay, YouTube doesn't want me to show this. Yes, heathen was always an insult. Some people embrace it, like black people embrace the never mind word. DJ says Nick pushes the infiltrate the system and change it from the inside. This will always result in being found out and kept at the bottom or making so many concessions you sell your soul. So this is what I mean partly about being young, is that like to have faith that the system works or that it can be, you can fix our problems from within the system, to me is extremely naive. But naivety and youth go hand in hand. You know what I mean? And if I were to like say that to him, it'd be like, like, fuck off, you're gay. You know, like that. You know what I'm saying? Like every single time they like, if you don't agree with what he says, then you're bad. You know. And anyway, I mean, I don't know. How much can we? How much of the system can we? I don't know. I suppose this is a point of contention. This is like a point of debate. Can the system be fixed, changed? Can we work within the system? If the Jews are totally out, totally out, then I would say yes, there's a chance that we could actually salvage the country and the system. Not even the country, just the system, you know. As long as they're in charge, no. No, it's just because the nature of it is like it's just like a snake. It's very slippery, and it'll never work. Uh, I'm just like looking at these other references for. She's got a couple like scratches on her face that I have to kind of pop in there. It's all right. All right. What do we got? Nick pushes. I already read that. Yeah, but like I said, I mean, as long as the Jays are in charge of our country, there's just no. It's not gonna work. Well, I'm back. All right. Welcome back. Welcome back, Jack. I was supposed to start learning how to DJ last night, but the weather was so shite that I couldn't make it into town. I had to postpone. I have no designs whatsoever to like become a DJ. It's not my. I to me, it's a thing that I find. I'm fascinated with it. I want to get on the inside of it. You know what I mean? I got several friends that do it, and it can show me. And so I've got the one who's gonna show me how to do it. And if I feel like there's something here I could do, like this could be a creative outlet, and I could create something interesting, then maybe I'll pursue it. But basically, the real deal of it is that I'm exchanging DJ lessons for kung fu lessons. So my buddy is going to be like another sparring partner. I need more sparring partners. That's pretty much what it's about. Oh, oops. About this guy. Yeah, I think that'll work. That seems fine. That's not necessarily true. What is? Well, I'm back. That's not necessarily true during this current Trump era, but surely the case any other regime. I'm not sure I catch your meaning. What's not true? All right. Fascinating. Fascinating. Absolutely fascinating. DJ's comment on Fuentes. Oh, okay. Oh, so this guy. So, what's next? Geez, guys, what am I gonna do after this? I gotta get. Well, all right. I'm just gonna do some like thinking out loud, like musing about my art direction. So, in May, I am. Well, I just get down to the real business here. There is a very major art institution that I am connecting with. IRL. This is like not some like online thing or some fantasy thing. This is like an actual historic institute. And anyway, I just have some inroads with this, and what their mission is comports and complies with our mission, with our culture, only in a kind of slightly oblique way. Like it's not like, stop white genocide. That's not the mission of the organization. Instead, it's about preserving arts and culture, and that is part of our history, our American history. And there's a lot of ideas in there that are compatible with our ideas, I'll put it that way. I know I'm being vague, but that's intentional. I'm not trying to sabotage this situation. So, as such, I could be getting grants, sales opportunities with my art, possible teaching gig, stuff like this. So this is a long-term relationship that I'm trying to develop with this institute. It's a major deal. It's a big deal. As such, my mind is thinking more about, okay, there's real money here, a lot of it, and as such, I think I need to put some focus into thinking through this, networking more, coming up with a strategy on how I can make a proposal to them about, here's an idea to help your organization. I'm an art teacher, and I can create curriculum, teach, paint. I can do all these things to fulfill this proposal, and it would be really, 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 really helpful for you guys. And blah 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 blah, all that shit. I don't need to pitch it to you. I got to pitch it to them. So, but what I love about it is it definitely is aligned with our mission, and in terms of like preserving our culture and such. So, and our values. So I'm excited about that. Therefore, the thinking is that maybe I need to put time into that rather than militiaman. You know what I'm saying? I'm not poo-pooing militiaman or saying I'm not going to do militiaman, but again, there's real money here, a lot of money, big money. I've yet to, I have to network more. I've got a little more research to do in terms of, who's who's got the money, what are the politics within the organization, stuff like that, And so I'm not going to be very explicit about these things, but it's a big deal, and so I just kind of feel like I want to put my energy into that. Whew, how about that for an explanation? I hope that you guys can, accept that. Hope that you can support my decision. Nobody wants to finish Militia Man more than me. Believe me, I wrote the script. I did all the storyboarding for the entire thing. I designed all the characters. I'm like 1/3 of the way through the work. I've already set up a Substack subscription area, blah, 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 all that stuff. So it's it would be terrible if I didn't finish it. You know what I'm saying? You don't want to leave these things undone. But this is life. Things come along, and you have to flow with where the money is. I hate to say it. Money dictates shit. And I this is one of the things I'm going to be telling the financiers is that you you guys have the money. You can choose how to social engineer society through where you spend your money. If you're going to be putting it into building a football stadium or an art curriculum that teaches the history of our people, do you see, like, you can dumb everybody down, or you can carry on the torch of like what our ancestors have done. And which is it going to be? So dealing with rich people is never fun, and in the sense that, like, you got good people, and then you have like sociopathic assholes, and so I gotta feel out who's who, and then kind of play to the realities of those situations. Tax fraud allegedly. I love that name. Cool drawing, dude. Hey, oh my god, that is the funniest name, bro. Tax fraud allegedly. That's so fucking, dude. So of course that's massive news right now, is the Somalian tax fraud and all that. News just came out in New York State. Their governor, Kathy Hochul, she somehow is being found out in something similar in New York State, but for a lot more money, naturally, right? There's been a lot of great memes about, like, I have to struggle to get by while the Somalis are sending billions of our tax dollars to, like, Somali pirates and terrorists, Muslim terrorists, and it's just like, what a freaking. It's just I just have the worst things to say about, like, the situation. It's so horrible. That's why I have no mercy for these people. I really, if I were king, we would need a lot of rope, because it's a lot of hangings, Oh man. Anyway, Tex says it's my band name. Oh, no way. Bro, you rock, man. I am a band, Tex. All right. Fascinating. What kind of music is it? I'm a musician as well. Vivi Sound Dynamics. Nice. Cool to have you here. Are you like a sound engineer or something? Let's read. I can do some memes, but I'm more of a shitposter troll type. Okay. I have a friend who does fan fiction and he's good at writing, but there's a bit of me that wants to tell him that he should make his own thing and really leave a footprint. Do it, man. Tell him. There's based youth in DC at the moment. I haven't seen in decades. Okay, that's good. Like and share now. DJ's comments on Quintus. Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, okay. On tax topic, be sure to cash in on the overtime rebate when filing this year's tax boosting return bigly. Okay. I am CMYK. Oh, my bro. Nice. 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 You're here. I'm jamming out with some like smooth drum and bass. Deep drum and bass. So, the thing I was talking about with like the historic art curriculum stuff also plays into a I'm doing a presentation in May for the Nationalist Media Conference. And I've been talking about it here and there on my channel. I think it's time to attack frontally the art establishment. I think it's time to go for the throat. I think that, what I want to do is create a kind of art curriculum that, like, in a really mean-spirited way, just smashes to pieces the current establishment in both museums and in education. There's a type of, it's just another one of these things that like feminists have ruined. Basically, they've gone in and they're the art teachers in the schools, and they run like they're the ones that run like the gay club and stuff in schools. I mean, can you imagine that in a fucking high school? When I was certified to teach, through my state, we had like very, very serious matters. I don't know, how do I express this? You're going to be a teacher and you're working for the state. Therefore, the regulations on how and what you can do in a classroom filled with minors is really, really carefully laid out by law. Okay, if people are trusting you with their children, then the law is very, very fucking clear about what you can and can't do, obviously, because you have to protect the children. And one of the most like huge things that they talked about is how there's absolutely zero talk of anything related to sexuality. That is totally all out of bounds. If that comes up, you merely say, that's a question for your parents, or do you need to see the school counselor, kind of thing, and that's it. Nothing else. And then I'm like, okay, if that's the case, then how the fuck do these schools have gay clubs? Oh, answer that, you fucking bitch. Like, it's just, do you see where I'm going with this? It's like, it's an institution in the state, Anyway, that's off topic though, but like the thing about like the arts and resurrecting like the real arts, the arts of our people and Europe, and bringing that back is I think a kind of a colossal endeavor. And I feel like I want to do it. So, me, love to do the impossible. You gotta, if you want to make an omelet, you gotta break a few eggs. You know what I'm saying? You gotta get in there and offend people. And there's a lot of people that I want to offend in the arts. Because of what they've done, how they've cheapened it, turned it into just another form of Marxist indoctrination. I'm like, no, we're not. And not only that, there's this like a meritocracy needs to be reinstituted. So that meaning that like what they call art these days is shit. It's shit. And you put that in on a fucking wall. Are you out of your fucking mind? And my analogy for that is like, okay, let's say you go see a band and the lead singer can't hit the notes right. Would you tolerate that? Would you be like, oh, that's music? You wouldn't. So why in the fuck would you tolerate that from visual artists that like paint like shit or you see what I'm saying? So because it's like, oh, because we want to make them feel better and pat them on the back and oh, you're so good. Fuck that. Fuck that shit. That's for fucking babies. Since when did the arts become a fucking daycare center? Fuck you. No, fuck off. We're taking it back. Stupid bitches. No more. No more of this fucking feminist faggotry shit. Let's read some comments. I yell every day down when passing the Hersheimer Art Museum as the tourists say about they hear me drive, hey, Rabbi, look what you've done to the art. Wow. Dude, you're on the team, man. Trad Dad, you are on the team. Grab a helmet and a gun. CMYK says it is total dog shit. Yeah, let me back up and get to these. Oh boy, we've got a lot of chats here. Hold on. Dig the D&B. Yeah, it's a good vibe for drawing. It's a good vibe for the show. Excuse me. I'm also rare that joined your chat and messed up the chat CBT. Really? That's okay. You made it through. Like NSA, it's like, okay. I thought Impressionism already destroyed the artist. So we can go into like kind of go deep on that topic. I'd say, well, give me a second here. Let me read the chat, and then we'll get back to Impressionism. The key point about Impressionism is that was the dawning of photography, and that photography changed painting forever. So we'll get there in a second. So I thought Impressionism was, my kids are homeschooling. Good for you. What will the new art era be named? Imperium art. Imperium art. And it's not for everybody. Like, leftists are never going to make Imperium art. They'll mock it. They'll, like, lampoon it and do satire of it. But Imperium art is art that is healthy for the state. Imperium art is art that is aware that it's a reflection of our people, and that as such has a grave responsibility to show the true biospirit of our people and to represent us as the heroes of our narrative. Are we clear? You see what I'm saying here? So this is key. This is really, really key. CMYK, all of the arts need overtaken. Music industry is bent so far out of shape. Well, yeah, wow. Maybe this could start a movement. Holy shit. Rexus, this goes exactly the same with movies. Thank you. Find a way to make it crash and burn so we can make art in film format again. See, it's all a breakaway civilization. It's return to the land as applied to the arts. Do you get my point? Wow. You just had your mind blown. Woohoo! So we can make it is total dog shit. I read that. I yell every day. Good. Have a good night. Oh, okay. I guess you're heading out. Sayonara. So getting back to this Impressionism. So this is like a little art history lesson in a, like a kind of in a short nugget. All of, not all, but like a huge part of Western civilization and history was documented through painting and sculpture. Right, visually, when we refer to visual arts, okay? Of course, you got music and architecture and blah, blah, blah. So they had things like, pottery and like weaving arts where they, blah, 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 tapestries that. But let's just focus on painting. So you didn't have the internet, you didn't have, all the stuff we have and know now. And if you wanted to see something, an event in history or foreign land, an illustration from a book, a story, mythology, blah blah blah, everything and anything, you'd see it in a drawing or a painting, And in the old days in Europe, that you had guilds, art guilds, you had apprenticeships. So there were a bazillion people that worked as illustrators for books, newspapers when that came out. And it was a kind of a job. It was sort of craft. And you'd go in and you'd work. And, maybe if your dad did it, then you did it and so on. But there were just like so many more people out there who did carvings and paintings. And, it was just a normal part of life, Then photography happened. And when that happened, it really, really threw painting under the bus. Because it's now, you no longer have dominion over reality, the visual reality of like what can be seen in a frame. And whoa. So artists, obviously in Europe, had to think, well, what does this mean to us? How does this change what it is we're doing? What is painting? What is art? Where do we go from here? And so that opened up the door. Now, there were, to my knowledge, there's no history of like Jewish infiltration in, say, Impressionism. I don't think that is what that is. However, history as we know it and history as it is taught is deconstructive. Okay, so the current art history that when I say current, I mean say like probably from the 50s up to now, was one of look at how Western civilization has like deconstructed down to Jackson Pollock, where we went from Impressionism to abstract expressionism and everything in between. And then afterwards came Andy Warhol, who I call the Antichrist of art. Everybody can be an artist. Art is product. It's commerce. It's commercial. It's advertising. It's movie stars. It's Elvis. Andy Warhol used his own urine to make paintings on like metal where it would like the acid would burn. This is the kind of fucking gay piece of shit that he was. You see what I'm saying? Well, how did he become famous? The art world, which is Jewish, made him who he is. Otherwise, he would just been some weirdo pervert who means nothing and had never had a say in history. But you get the agenda here. Okay, this is the agenda. So, as such, I'm proposing we totally rewrite history. And I'm proposing that we start a new history. We start our history over by bringing all our creators together under one ideology, I don't want to say manifesto, but I do think the arts need a manifesto. If we look at National Socialist Germany, that's a perfect example of what Imperium art would look like. It's heroic, it's highly aesthetic, it's beautiful. That's not the only period in our history where we had this kind of art. There's lots of great art in our history because it's us, it's white people, it's who we are, So it's not hard to find it. It's just that the art education / market establishment teaches that, that's old white men, that's dead white men. Like now it's all about minorities and now it's all about, postmodernism. It's like, and that literally is meant to be the death of Western civilization. directly. The arts are a weapon. They're a really, really. It's kind of like an invisible death ray that is or like I don't know. It's like poisoning the water supply, a little more and a little more and a little more, generation after generation, and it kills you. You don't know who you are, and it's like, oh, I love hip hop now, and I'm into drugs, and I just care about money, and I'm never gonna have kids. And like the modern young person, or not even young person, like people in their 40s are like that. So we got a lot of work to do. We got a lot of work to do. Let's get back to some comments. Hip says, maybe if your dad did it, you did it. Lol. More like the whole family and the extended family all worked under your name. I assume you're referring to the guild craftsmen and that kind of thing. With graphic art, of course. So AI. Now, this is an interesting thing. AI is having a very positive effect on our culture. Our guys are out there making kick-ass, esoteric Hitlerist reels every day, all day. It's like they mix film editing with kick-ass music, and then they'll splice in AI scenes, like Agartha scenes or whatever, penguins on UFOs or whatever the new meme is. There's an underground culture of artists that create reels and videos, short videos, and they're moralizing. They're it's us celebrating our dissident culture. There's swastikas and pagan imagery and black suns, Sonograds, and just all this stuff that is our symbols, our symbology, our iconography, and it's just a fabulous thing. Hello, Bob White. Welcome. Hey, man. Good to have you, bro. Good to see you there. So that's the new underground art. That's the new punk rock. Comic books, like this stuff, it's its own world. It's a well-established market genre. Da da da, and what this writer is doing is very different from what I'm doing. Let me see if I can pull out some of my art here. But so this is me in the early phases of trying to create Imperium art. Like, what would Imperium art actually look like? Hello. Oh, I thought that was a new one. Let's see. You guys are just saying hello. Give me a sec here. So, if you look at this page, now this comic right here was actually written by Kai Moros. Do you guys know? You really should know who Kai Moros is. You should be ashamed of yourself if you don't know who he is. He's a revolutionary author. He lives in Finland. Also a close personal friend. Anyway, he wrote this, and it's about like a Muslim slave trade in the UK, where they're selling these little girls, and like the British police are overseeing it. It's a really, really brutal concept. That's like Imperium Comics, I guess, is like taking that shit to another level. It's showing the bad guys as bad guys. I think you know where I'm going with that in this particular case, right? If you're reading the symbolism here. Militiaman, you've got the Patriots with tiki torches, and I mean, just the name Militiaman, what does that say? You know what I'm saying? So like, it's still within the kind of genre of the kind of, not the genre, the archetypes, I guess, of like superheroes, American superheroes. I'm gonna turn the music down. It doesn't need to be blasting. I'm sorry, I'm like yelling. So I would like to do more sophisticated comics that were not so locked in on genre. like the superhero genre is very tropey. You know, it has lots of fun tropes. You know, that's what it's about. But I'd like to take it more seriously and get like more literary or more cinematic about it. Take it to another level. You know, this is Jared Taylor as the president of the United States in this particular comic here. I thought that's a fun Easter egg. Ruth Bader Ginsburg is right here, if you can recognize her. Obviously, I drew that a while back. Antarctica was originally called Australia. So, yeah, you mentioned that in one of the previous shows. It's inspiring youth, some of which will go on the enter mainstream, change the dynamic. All right. I'm like burned out from yelling so much. I'm starting to sound like Hitler. I'm just getting like Hitler voice. I love this piece. I think it's a really charming little illustration. But this is the section of my book where it has like the fantasy art in it. Sort of Conan type stuff. What can I say about that? I probably shouldn't. Let's see, what do I have to say? We need to bring the proud white racial conscious sphere and firmly plant it in the digital AI age, correct. And I mean, that's what's happening, but it's underground, though, right? More people need to start learning this tech. Strongly agree with you. Strongly agree. Rexus says we should also take inspiration from Vsevolod Ivanov, because despite being a Soviet Russian artist, he made fantasy that beautified Slavic myth. I would love to see this guy's work because, like, there's a ton of Slavic painters that never made it into the history books, and I'm like, why is it that we only see Western Europe in the history books? Everything's Western Europe. Like, what? Like, are Eastern Europeans and Russians not white? Like, that's just weird to me. I don't get that. I think that's because of communism. I think that's just a legacy of communism. This is the book I illustrated with Spencer J. Quinn. I discussed that on Imperium Calling with Greg Johnson. This was one of the images in the show. It's about the white indentured servitude. Da-da-da. But yeah, you're right about the AI thing. That's an important area. It's you. This is a reading. That's because I read that. Rexus says, I honestly think we need our own Conan or Turok, like heroes and figures in our arts. Make overly inspiring characters and heroes of our space. Yeah, dude. Obviously, yeah. Like, all of it, you know. So what we need is money. Okay, what we need is money to produce these things and disseminate these things. You know, we need our own Netflix. We need our own Hollywood. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's what we need. Anyway, let me just pull out the $500 trillion in my back pocket and get it started. Okay. All right, nice. I think I'm done for tonight. I'm burned out. I'm pretty tired here. So, what shall I do? Oh, excuse me. Oh man, I'm wrecked. All right, I think I'll say, God bless you guys, and leave you on this. Look at that, man. Almost done, but this is the last page of the Alliance. Holy crow. It's over. It's over. Sad eyes. You knew there'd come a day when we would have to say goodbye. Here it is, ladies and gentlemen, the end of the show. Wishing you well. Have a good night. Be careful of the snow. Oh my God, that rhymed. Anyway, amazing art, great convo. Have a great week, folks. God bless you guys. Good night, Don. Excellent as always. I love you. You guys are the best, man. All right, enough. Okay. See you soon. God bless. Bye bye.